Welcome to BM Sculptures. I'm going to be giving away this sculpture to one lucky viewer, so be sure and check out the description on how to enter. Alright, let's jump right into this build. I'm using scrap wood. Here I have some cherry, some white oak, some walnut, some more white oak here, more cherry, and more walnut. And this ended up not being enough wood that I needed, so you'll see a little bit later that I actually add some more wood. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue up each species of wood together. I'm going to get the thickness I want because I'm going to end up making perfectly square beams for this sculpture. So I just want to get the thickness here. Once these are all dried up, I'm going to grab my number 6 hand plane, newly acquired by Alex at Under the Water Woodworks. So this is my very first time using this hand plane. And man, what a step up this plane is from my old hand plane that you see here. Before getting this, I did everything with this tiny little hand plane. So this is really a treat to be using. So enjoy this hand planing montage. And it's at this point that I'm just having a little bit of fun. I'm experimenting with this hand plane. I want to see if it could take off this entire line in one run. And sure enough, it did exactly that. And wow, was I impressed and happy to be using this hand plane. At one point, I debated putting all these shavings inside my pillowcase, but ultimately decided against it because I would never have gotten out of bed, and this sculpture would have never been created. So I dodged a bullet on that one. Oh, who's a good boy? See you later, number 6. Alright, all my boards are planed on one side. That way, when I run them through the table saw, I get perfectly straight cuts. I'm going to be ripping these boards all the exact same dimensions. That way, it just makes it easier for glue up. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is the fanciest table saw you've ever laid your eyes on. Now, truth be told, this table saw has been great for me. I will be upgrading in the near future, but I can't speak highly enough about this. It does the trick, and it just goes to show you that you can make things work with whatever tools you have. Now that all the wood is ripped to the same width, it's time to throw everything through the thickness planer to get the height to match the width. And I'm going to make all these boards identical and perfectly square. So I'm going to be gluing these up in different sections. So here I just want a kind of random assortment of wood heights to basically make it completely random once all these sections are glued up together. And I'm just going to take it over to the miter saw, make all my cuts, and go from there. Now if you haven't already, be sure to check the description to see how you can win this sculpture. Once everything's cut up, I'm going to go ahead and take them inside and kind of play around with the arrangement to make sure that it is random and that I have different species of woods in different order. And before the glue up, I'm going to sand everything down. I'm going to sand the corners a little bit too, because once these are glued up, I am not going to be able to get into those tight spaces and sand them up. And here I'm just kind of messing around with different arrangements, making sure that different species aren't going to be glued up next to each other. Just really trying to make it as random as possible. Once that is exactly how I like it, it's time for the glue up. And pretty simple process here, just gluing, clamping, and waiting for it to dry. And while they wait to dry, I have all sorts of more layers to do because I am doing 8 layers for each side, which means I have a total of 16 of these to do. Yes, this took a long time. And it wasn't until around the 6th glue up that I knew I did not have enough wood to make this sculpture the size I wanted. So here you see I have some Brazilian rosewood, a beautiful piece of wood that I'm going to add to the mix, as well as some more white oak and cherry. I'm just getting this back to the same thickness and dimensions as the previously glued up boards. I don't want to bore you with that, so let's cut straight to the finished glue ups. Because these pieces are all different lengths, it makes it a nightmare to glue up. So all of these aren't perfectly flat. So what I'm gonna have to do is make a planing jig in order to flatten them all. So the theory is I'm gonna put my glue ups on a flat piece of plywood, run a piece of wood down the side that is the same height as those, and by putting them all together on this long board, I'm hoping to prevent tear out while also flattening the top, because again, the thickness planer is parallel to the bottom. So if the bottom is on a flat piece of plywood, in theory, the top should be flat once it's all in the planer. So here I'm kind of finding the correct orientation for these things to go down. I'm going to do the tape trick with hot glue here and glue them all down. And let's hope this works. I've never done this before, and I am extremely nervous, but let's give this a whirl. Wish me luck. Flat and smooth, just as planned. And there you have it, 16 pieces of perfectly flat, glued up pieces of wood. Now's the fun part. I'm going to arrange them in a random order, making sure that the different species of wood aren't overlapping each other. Literally every store is out of latex gloves, so the only gloves that I have to spare are some good old baseball gloves. So it brings me back to the glory days. Here we go. Good old baseball gloves, epoxy pour. Let's go. Man, is that guy annoying. Get off the screen already. Alright, now I am using MAS Epoxy and I'm going to laminate these things together. So I'm using epoxy because I don't want to have any kind of glue squeeze out that will affect the eventual epoxy pour. So I'm going to be using the same epoxy that I do the pour with. That way, if any of it squeezes out, you won't even know once the main pour goes on. Once everything's all clamped up, it's time for my favorite part of every epoxy project, and that is murdering bubbles. Big daddy bubbles? Baby bubbles? Twin bubbles? Bubbles with googly eyes? I take no prisoners. Once every last bubble is annihilated, I could finally go sit down and rest and wait for this thing to cure. Well, that was quick. And here's the next day. Everything is cured, and I'm going to put them in the orientation to where I'm actually going to do the final epoxy pour just to kind of see where we're at. And I'm putting them together, and I don't like this beam right here. I want more open space in the middle, so I'm just going to take a little pull saw here, and I'm just going to cut it off. And now it's time to apply the penetrating epoxy. Good news! I found some gloves. The last pair at Home Depot. Yeah, they are kitchen gloves, but they might work a little bit better than my baseball gloves, so that's always a plus. Let's do it. I thought we told that guy to stay off the screen. So I'm going to coat every square inch of these pieces and leave it overnight to cure. The next day you can see here that the wood actually soaked up a lot of this, so I'm actually going to do 2 layers, and here is the following day, and as you can see, there are no more dry spots on the wood, which tells me that everything is completely sealed and ready for the final pour of epoxy. Off camera, I made this mold here out of melamine, and I made sure to seal it with silicone and tape, and just to be extra sure, I want to pour it with water and check for leaks. No leaks, so we are good to go. Alright, it's showtime. I'm going to be using MAS Epoxy's Deep Pour. I'm going to do 3 gallons at a time, and I'm going to add a little hint of black dye in there just to give it a little bit of contrast. Now I'm going to put a link in the description of all the materials and items I used for this, so go check it out if you're curious to what I used. Be sure to mix thoroughly before pouring your resin. Now, I did this little makeshift pouring spout to try and minimize bubbles, but it ended up not working at all. Look at this guy. Poured just not even close to it. And I mean, here I'm kind of getting it down there, but still a lot spilling out, so I really didn't have to do that. I should have just poured it all in there. I'm going to be doing this in 2 pours, so I'm going to wait for this one to cure before pouring the next one. So much for my mold not leaking. I come out an hour later to find a puddle of epoxy on the ground. I did my best quick fix by siliconing this, but that night I could not sleep at all. No joke, this is 4 in the morning. I could not sleep. I was having nightmares of this entire epoxy mold spilling out on the floor. So I did another fix because it was leaking out again at 4 a.m. And this is later in the afternoon that same day, and I get another unpleasant surprise. There are cracks and fractures in the bottom of this mold. I don't really know what happened, but at this point there's no turning back. I'm going to do my second pour regardless, and here it is, and it is full, and I just hope that this one works. All right, fast forward to 2 days later. This is completely cured. I'm going to take it out of the mold, and from the top, from the surface, it looks like that second pour worked way better than the first one. So I'm extremely excited to take this out and see what it looks like. My first impression of this thing, having just moved it, is wow, is this heavy. How heavy, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I am doing a giveaway, and all you have to do to enter is guess this exact weight. Hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. For more information on this contest, check out the description. And here's the front side, perfectly crystal clear. This is the second pour with no fractures. And right here is the back side. You can see the small fractures and cracks, but I have a solution. Because I am doing a sculpture, I can actually carve around most of those fractures on the backside. So let's get right into the carving. I trace out my side view, and then I trace out my front view, so I have clear lines to carve around. Now I'm pretty nervous here because this is actually my very first chainsaw carving. To play it safe, I am keeping my distance around 1 inch outside all of the lines I have traced. And I'm kind of just experimenting as I go along here, kind of using the chainsaw in different ways. Like here, I'm just kind of shaping the little bits and pieces. In other parts, I take off whole chunks like here. This is actually really fun to do. My very first chainsaw carving, I didn't think it would be an epoxy pour like this, but it ended up being really fun, and it took off a lot of material quick, exactly what I wanted. And luckily I didn't get any tear outs, and the epoxy didn't shatter because, again, I stayed my distance away from those lines. Causing a mess is an understatement here. I actually filled up 2 massive garbage cans full of debris from this sculpture. Here I am about an hour into chainsaw carving, and you can see the very rough shape of the sculpture kind of coming through. I next use the chainsaw to round over some of the edges here. Again, just taking away kind of bulk material and staying away from the lines. I'm now done with the chainsaw, and I want to remove less material more precisely. So I'm going to be using this angle grinder with different carving attachments to refine the shape and curves of the torso. And here it is after a little more refinement, but there's still, as you can see, a lot of work to do. To get into the smaller areas, I'm actually going to be using a die grinder with, again, different carving bits to really complement the angle grinder and get into those narrower spaces that the angle grinder can't get into. As you can see, this is not the cleanest of situations here. So if you plan on doing a carving like this with these tools, definitely get the proper mask and face shield, and I will put a link in the description of what I use here. I highly recommend it if you plan on doing anything similar to this. Once the shape is a little more refined, I'm going to be using the angle grinder with a flap disc to really smooth over the sharp edges and lines. As you can see, now it's really starting to take shape here. I'm really happy with how it looks now. I definitely have to thin out some parts and then get to hours upon hours of sanding. But before I get to sanding, I'm going to be using my little rotary tool here to get inside the leg cracks and just areas that the larger angle grinder and die grinder can't reach. Now, nobody dislikes sanding more than me, and I'm sure you don't like watching people sand either. So I'm going to do you guys a solid and not show you the painstaking 15 plus hours I did of sanding this thing down. Now, before I sand this past 400 grit, I'm going to wet this thing down, clean it off, and I'm going to take care of those cracks in the backside. And here you can see the full extent of these cracks. The shoulder, there's got a big crack. In the butt, there's a crack. Oh wait, actually there's 2 cracks in the butt. Butt cracks. So to fix these, I'm first going to clean them out by shooting some air in there, making sure all the sediment and dust is out. And then I'm going to fill them with epoxy, which will hopefully make this whole backside seamless. Once all that epoxy cured on the backside, I re-sanded everything, and now I am down to my finish sanding work. So I'm going to be doing wet sanding up to 600 grit, get everything nice and shiny and smooth and clear. Now for everyone's favorite part, let's put some finish on this wooden epoxy and see what it really looks like. And here it is, the finished sculpture. If you want to see how to win this, be sure to check out the description. Let me know what you think about this build in the comments. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing.